The first time I heard the squad car tires crunch on my gravel drive, I knew the peace on my little farm was over. My new neighbors had just called the cops on a half-blind retiree in a wheelchair for stealing his own cherry trees. And that, friends, is the least ridiculous part of what you're about to hear. If you'd told me a handful of blossoms could spark lawsuits, broken bones, and a courtroom showdown worth $3 million, I'd have rolled away laughing. Instead, I rolled straight into 5 years of madness that still leaves me shaking my head every spring when those petals drift like pink confetti across the yard. I'm Sam Hawthorne, 68, retired search and rescue legally blind, but still stubborn enough to run 42 acres in Cedar Glen, Georgia by myself. After the Army and decades hauling folks off mountain ledges, I figured I'd earned quiet days, a greenhouse full of parrots, and rows of fruit trees to keep me busy. My prized babies were a male-female pair of Japanese cherry trees I'd imported long before anyone cared for the perfume for the shade, but mostly because they made me forget the burn scars on my legs every time they bloomed. Those cherries threw saplings every other season, and I replanted each one like it was a grandchild lining the mile-long drive that curled to my porch. Life smelled like heaven and tasted like fresh peaches till the county sold the fallow strip next door. Enter Denise Mallory, suburban couture acrylic nails, and the moral flexibility of a junkyard raccoon. Her husband Rick wore mirrored shades, called himself a real estate visionary, and parked 3 lifted pickups where my view of the creek used to be. On day 2 of their occupancy, I was on my knees gently spading 9 newborn saplings when Denise stomped across her lawn in a cloud of perfume and entitlement. "What do you think you're doing with my trees, old man?" "They're mine, ma'am." I tapped the trunk of the mother tree for emphasis. "Bought planted and paid taxes on every petal." "That's our side," she snapped, pointing at the driveway that sat a good 15 feet inside my survey stakes. I reminded her the fence between us was electrified for wild hogs, not hobby climbers. She scoffed, grabbed a pole, and got lit up like a 4th of July sparkler. While she screamed vocabulary that'd curl a sailor's toes, I wheeled back to the house bucket of saplings in my lap, muttering, "My land, my trees, Denise, deal with it." 30 minutes later, my security monitor flashed blue and red. 3 officers, 2 veterans, and a rookie stood at my porch. Officer Ward opened with, "Sir, we've had a complaint. You assaulted a neighbor and stole ornamental trees worth $30,000. I swallowed a laugh. Invited them on a tour. First the saplings still nesting in water buckets. Then the camera feeds showing Denise shaking my fence like a lab rat who found the wrong lever. Ward watched. The slow motion zap chuckled and said, "Well, that clears that up." They warned Denise, filed trespass paperwork, and left. I thought that was the end. Bless my optimistic soul. That night, rain drumming roofs, frogs singing backup, someone pounded my front door hard enough to rattle the frame. On the porch, Denise, Rick, and a gallon of rage. I set the wheelchair brakes, dialed dispatch, and let the cameras roll. Officers returned. Rick got his own trespass warning. Denise promised revenge. The next afternoon, she stood on her deck with a megaphone blaring "Tree Thief" on repeat, like a budget fire siren. Cops came. Cops went. Citations stacked up faster than I could water the tomatoes. Then the story stopped being funny. Saturday dawned humid. I was harvesting okra behind the greenhouse when I heard boots on gravel and a hiss like air brakes. Before I could hit the horn, 3 men blindsided me, big, angry, and as coordinated as linebackers. Fists fell like hail. Ribs cracked, jaw shattered. They left me twisted beneath my tipped chair, bleeding into red Georgia clay. Took hours to claw the phone close enough to mash 911. My voice came out slurry, but Officer Ward caught the address, and fire rescue broke the gate a few minutes later. The cameras in my orchard ones Rick didn't know existed caught every punch. The attackers, Rick's kid brothers Earl Chet and Bobby, imported from Alabama for a family project. Hospital surgery. 6 plates in my face. 3 weeks later, detectives laid those grainy frames in front of Earl, who folded faster than warm laundry. Turns out, Rick paid them in whiskey and spare car parts. Warrants flew across state lines. The brothers were hauled back in cuffs. Denise, meanwhile, wasn't done. Her older sister, Paula, clerked at the county courthouse and, brace yourself, filed grand theft and harassment charges against me, complete with an arrest warrant signed by a sleepy circuit judge. 2 deputies arrived, convinced I was faking paralysis for sympathy. They dumped me on the floor, realized quick the legs don't lie, and spent the next 3 hours figuring how to haul a 1,000-pound electric wheelchair downtown. Jail echoes in weird ways when you're the only inmate singing old Johnny Cash tunes through a wired jaw. My lawyer, Miranda Cortez, fiery hair Harvard mind, walked in with a flash drive of camera footage, shipping receipts, and property maps. Within 48 hours, the warrant was voided, my record scrubbed, and Paula Mallory's badge revoked for falsifying affidavits. Miranda didn't stop at dismissal. She filed a civil suit that read like a menu: assault of a disabled veteran, malicious prosecution, property damage, emotional distress. Price tag, $3 million. Rick made bail, but forgot I'd upgraded the fence with motion lights and a silent alarm. One moonless night, he and Denise crept over garbage bags in hand, yanking peaches, pecans, whatever they could reach. Deputies slipped through the gate code I'd texted them minutes earlier. The chase across my backyard looked like Benny Hill in night vision fruit, flying Denise, screaming Rick, gasping. By dawn, they'd each earned new bracelets, this pair stainless steel. Courthouse hallways smelled sweeter after that. Cameras lined the ceiling. Lawyers shuffled papers, and the Mallory clan finally realized they were outgunned by a man who couldn't see a highway sign, but knew the law better than they knew their own birthdays. Rick's brothers copped pleas 25 to life for felony assault on a disabled person. Rick and Denise took 6 months each plus 50 grand restitution for the world-famous produce food fight. Paula pled to obstruction, lost her pension, and moved 3 counties west, where folks hadn't heard the tale yet. Judgment Day. On the civil side, felt like the first warm breeze after winter. The jury needed 4 hours. When the clerk read, awarded to the plaintiff $3 million, I exhaled a breath I'd been holding since the first saplings hit the bucket. Miranda took her cut. I took deeds to 2 of the Mallory rentals, a chunk of their brokerage account. And the satisfaction of watching Denise's designer shades slide off her face as the judge signed the permanent restraining order, 1,000 yards, no exceptions, lifetime. You'd think that's where credits roll, but Mother Nature wrote an epilogue. Hurricane Ella barreled up from the Gulf, ripped half my orchard to kindling, and left the main house listing like a drunk sailor. I took the insurance payout, sold the acreage to a conservation trust, and bought a small coastal bungalow where cherry trees can't grow, but sea oats dance just fine in the breeze. Last spring, I wheeled onto the porch, sipped coffee, and listened to the gulls. No sirens, no megaphones, only the hush of waves and the soft thump of my heart settling into calm. Denise and Rick Rumor says they're arguing over whose idea it was to tangle with a crippled vet in the first place. I doubt they'll ever bloom into better people, but that's not my soil to till. As for me, the scars still ache when the barometer drops and the steel in my jaw clicks at airport security. But I wake up grateful and a little amused, knowing ordinary blossoms tipped the scales of justice so hard the gavel shook. Now, I've told you my piece. I'm turning the mic over to you. Was I right to fight back this ferociously, or should I have rolled away and let the cherries fall where they may? Have you tangled with neighbors who made you question basic humanity? Drop your stories, thoughts, and hot takes in the comments. Share this video with that one friend who loves true life courtroom drama. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe, because somewhere out there, another sapling of chaos is already sprouting, and you'd hate to miss the next bloom.